Marketing can feel like this big, overwhelming thing, especially when you're running your Etsy shop or online store solo. Should you focus on SEO? Should you run ads? Post on Instagram every day? It's a lot. But here's the thing. Successful businesses, from big name brands to thriving Etsy sellers, all follow the same basic framework, the 4 Ps of marketing. And today, I'm breaking it down in a way that actually makes sense for you. These 4 pillars, product, price, place, and promotion, can help you attract more of the right customers, price your products for profit, and grow your shop in a way that feels sustainable. So whether you're struggling to get consistent sales or just want to level up your strategy, this episode is packed with practical tips to help you make real progress. I'll walk you through each P, how it applies to Etsy and e-commerce, where most sellers go wrong, and how to tweak your strategy to bring in more sales. Plus, I'll give you quick action steps so you can start implementing right away. So grab your coffee, notebook, or whatever else you need, and we'll dive right in. Welcome back to Etsy and Ecom with the Professional Mom. If you are new here, hello, big welcome. I am Rebecca Boland, self-proclaimed the Professional Mom who worked in corporate finance, has since stayed home with 2 boys under 4 years old, and has been building 5 different Etsy businesses and other diversified income streams online, all from the comfort of my home, all in a self-taught solopreneur way. I have been sharing all those strategies with you, and today I am going to dig deep into true, well-known strategic business marketing and apply it to our Etsy and e-commerce business principles to make sure that we can help grow our shops in a way that has been proven to make sense on any scale. P number 1 stands for product. When we talk about product, we have to think about creating something people actually want. This goes beyond just making what we love. We have to figure out how to balance our creativity with customer demand. This can be one of the biggest hurdles that new Etsy sellers, especially handmade, artistic types, can get hung up with because we know we love our art, we know we're creating something unique, original, beautiful, but we have to make sure that that is meeting customer demand, especially on an Etsy platform where most customers are searching by a search term looking for something specific, and that's probably not the single new art piece that you happen to make and create. So how do we mesh what we're selling with what they're looking for and make it positioned so that it seems like it aligns? Luckily, on Etsy, there are a lot of great ways, both free and paid, to research winning product ideas by either looking through Etsy search, looking through the gift suggestions and everything that Etsy has curated. You can also use a tool like Everbee, which is what I use and love. I also use and love eRank a lot for competitor analysis and to find bigger trends. And I do a lot of old school hours at the computer, scanning through best sellers and figuring out what they all have in common. So within your own shop, make sure that you have your own tools and techniques to figure out what winning products look like, what's actually selling online, and how to make sure that you are aligned with that in your own unique way. But when I say unique, that's where we want to make sure we are standing out with product differentiation. We still have to have this unique value proposition to our product to make it clear why it stands out, but is still aligned with what the customer actually wants. So is it that yours is high quality? Is it that your art is not AI generated? It is truly hand painted? Is it a hyper-focused niche that your customer is not going to get anywhere else? Do you personalize where somebody else does not? Make sure that you can stand out in a way that adds a little more value than the competitor next to you. Product-wise, you can also improve and stand out in terms of your branding and your packaging. Presentation matters, and if you can make something visually appealing to the customer before they even open the box, you're already going to set them up for a positive review, for a positive interaction, for a positive first impression. So here's a quick action step I want to challenge you with. Look at your best-selling product and ask yourself, what problem does this solve for my customer? This is a way that you can establish why that is a bestseller, or if you don't have products yet or no sales yet, maybe you take this back a step and say, what does this solve? What problem does this solve for my ideal customer? And are you answering that? Can you answer that? I guess that's the first thing. Can you answer that for yourself? Can you establish how your product helps your customer? Maybe does it help them have more time because their home is organized and everything they need is in one place? If you can answer that question, which is fantastic, then the next piece is, have you answered that question in your listing? Can a shopper quickly glance through and see that for themselves? Is it obvious? Is that solution clear to them and evident? The clearer you can make it for them, the easier of a decision it'll make for them to make the purchase. Because in the customer's mind, suddenly they're not considering whether they want to pay $30 for an organizer box for their desk. They're thinking about whether they would be willing to pay $30 to have all of their time freed up because none of their things go missing anymore and everything's organized and they don't miss deadlines because their file folder is all together finally, or whatever else the factor may be. If you're somewhere you can pause this and actually look into your shop and answer that question, this would be a great time to do that. Sometimes I like to work alongside podcasts, and that way everything is fresh in mind as I'm energized. So give you a second to hit pause, and then I'll jump into segment 2 on the second P, price. So the P for price in our 4P framework is how to set prices that actually make you money. Some of the most common pricing mistakes that beginning Etsy sellers make are to undervalue themselves, their products, their time, or to copy competitors, or to ignore certain costs, maybe of supplies that you already have sitting around your house, and to not factor in all of those pieces when setting your price. So if you want to calculate a profitable price, you need to make sure that you are accounting for all of your materials. So if you are a Cricut cutting machine crafter and you have rolls of vinyl already laying around your house, like I do, that does not mean that that is not a cost for you. And you should still be accounting for that in the cost of materials. You also need to make sure that you are accounting for labor. You might not be paying anybody. A lot of us are not. A lot of us handmade sellers are making something ourselves, shipping it ourselves. But you need to make sure that you are getting paid for your time. So again, just because you are not actually writing a paycheck to somebody else, your time is valuable. And you should not be undercutting yourself when setting a price. You don't want to say, oh, my materials were $5, I'll charge $6. Because you are not setting anything aside there for the cost of your time and your labor. You also need to make sure you are considering any overhead costs. So this can be something like, I don't know how it works, but let's say you have to pay $100 an hour to rent a pottery studio space. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but let's say that's what happens and you can make 4 pieces in an hour. You need to account for that within the pricing of each piece. And mentally note to yourself that if all the pieces were the same, that's an extra $25 that I should be attributing to the cost that went in just to make this piece of pottery. And then, of course, on Etsy or Shopify, wherever else you are selling, there are likely fees. Of course, we know on Etsy there are fees. Currently, it is 6.5% of your total sales price, plus another 3.5% that goes to transaction fees, plus a quarter that goes to transaction fees. And that is not even including any Etsy ads. So make sure that even if you think, oh, that's only $3 or $4 here or there, I'll ignore the Etsy fees, Those pieces factor in. And I know that they change, and I know sometimes it can be hard, frustrating, annoying, not worth your time to sit down and calculate exactly what 6.5% of what you might want to sell your product at is. But I promise you, it is worth your time. It is very important. And every time you're not accounting for that, you don't want to fall into a position that you are losing money on every sale and you don't even know it. It's one thing to maybe make that a strategic decision, which we can talk about later, but you don't want to not know it. That is the worst. On top of all that, once you know all the fees, you can't just then price your product. You then have to actually have a profit margin. You want to know that you are making money. You're not just matching money for your time. You are taking home a profit to make it worth it, that you're in a better position to do all this than to just break even. A lot of people on Etsy do like to play in the undercut each other's pricing game, but the psychology of pricing doesn't actually favor that necessarily. And there's a lot of customers out there that don't just buy the cheapest option. There may be customers who prefer it, sure, but there are going to be a lot of customers who don't mind paying a few dollars more, or might see that most products are in the range of $15 to $20, and they will question why somebody is able to be an outlier to sell it for $10, $8, $7 or less, and they won't even click in to find out, because it seems mentally, you look at that and you say, it's either a scam, it's a knockoff product, maybe it's digital and not a deliverable shipped product. And many shoppers are smart enough to recognize that paying a little bit more money might just be kind of that trustworthy piece that they need from a real seller who has to charge that for delivering a quality product. The good news is you can always test your pricing. You can always adjust your pricing. You can always set something that you think you'd like to make and might be a little high, and then also run a sale. So Etsy makes it really easy to run a sale for any length of time. You can do it for a day, a week, a month. You can do any percentage you'd like. You can pick sections of your shop or just individual products. And that could be a really easy way to try to test pricing. And also, playing the psychological game is to help show shoppers that you are turning on that sale, which triggers them to see the crossed out price and the green sales price. It'll show a countdown clock from Etsy. Hey, this is expiring in 10 hours, purchase now while the sale is on. So it could be a kind of kill two birds with one stone benefit to try to test your pricing by potentially starting a little bit higher and then setting a sale for a certain amount of time. So a quick action item here for price is that I want you to quickly do a price analysis of your shop and note if there's anything that you think you really sold yourself short on. Do you think that you didn't charge for vinyl you already had? Are there costs that you kind of swept under the rug just because you were hoping you'd get more sales if you charged $1 or $2 less? Because if that's not currently working for you and you're not getting those sales anyway, then is it really going to hurt to make sure that your product is priced correctly for your benefit? And then maybe run a sale and keep optimizing the other pieces, because pricing and setting the lowest price is not necessarily why you're not getting sales. If you've checked out your pricing in your shop and you want to jump into segment 3, then join me as we talk about the third P, place, where and how you sell your products. So of course, we are focused on Etsy or other online businesses like Shopify right now. And something like an Etsy is fantastic for built-in traffic because it is a marketplace. Customers are already going there looking for handmade, unique items. However, that should not be the only platform we use long-term. And that's part of my long-term strategy and why I talk about e-commerce as a whole. Selling on multiple channels, Etsy plus Shopify plus Amazon, plus directly through social media, plus in-person craft fairs or wherever else, is going to give you the opportunity, obviously, to get more sales from more places, but it also helps you with some of the other intangible things like brand recognition. So if you are starting to develop social proof on Etsy with reviews, and suddenly you can put a poster of your Etsy reviews up at your craft fair booth, some of these platforms can start to kind of cross-pollinate and help you grow bigger, faster in more directions, because you can take the different traffic and the different audiences from different channels and use the best of what's working in each of them to help the others grow outward. When we talk about place, especially in online business, we could also be considering the importance of search engine optimization. So are we thinking about Etsy search, Google search, Pinterest search in terms of the place and how we are selling our products, or where or how? How are we optimizing to make sure people on these different platforms can see our product? For e-commerce, another huge one that I know is one of the most important ways, and I'm kind of guilty myself of not fully capitalizing on it, is the power of creating and staying engaged with an email list, so that you don't rely solely on a single platform or on algorithm changes, or if social media went away entirely, you will still have your own email list with your loyal customers to be able to sell directly to. So in terms of place, a quick action step here is to consider one new place you can start promoting or selling your products. So if you are brand new to Etsy or to Shopify, we don't necessarily want to be too big for our britches and expand onto another platform, but you can think about how to start promoting them. So if you are brand new, then the piece I would personally take away from this is to start building an email list. Even if all you're doing is collecting email addresses with a single landing page and you don't have a newsletter yet or anything else, that could be how you establish taking one new step towards expanding on place. Plus, that email list, no matter where you're selling now, can carry you along into another place in the future. So if you're on Etsy and you want to go to Shopify, or if you launch a line on Amazon Marketplace or on Michael's Handmade, you will be able to take that list, tell your customers directly, and hopefully start driving your own traffic almost instantly to wherever else you decide to build on. And then if you are ready for the fourth P in segment 4 here, we are going to talk about promotion as P number 4. So promotion is getting your products in front of the right people. Why it can't be build it and they will come. That's a myth. This needs to be about marketing your shop. They will not just show up if you build a shop in the middle of nowhere and don't tell anybody about it. So, one great thing about Etsy and why I love it is that you can have a faceless store. You don't have to be an influencer. You don't have to pay for a lot of advertising, but something like optimizing your listings on Etsy does account for a little bit of organic traffic. So people will start to come to your shop. But there are other free marketing methods like using Pinterest and pinning even just a few pins a day to targeted boards or to collaborator boards, or to reach out to influencers to start your own blog and see if you can collaborate on a free unpaid roundup of the 20 best products for dog-loving moms or something of the such. And by each of you collaborating, you are sharing other people's products, but they are sharing yours as well, which might be a way that you can both afford to do this for free without paying for a sponsorship from the other, because instead you are potentially benefiting from an audience growth or cross promotion or hopefully expanded sales. Promotion is also when you want to think about when to use paid advertising. So yes, like I said, there are ways you can pay influencers, You can also invest in Facebook ads. You can invest in Etsy ads, but those are all a complete strategy of their own. They are their own beasts to learn, and there's a time and place for that. So if you are really early on, you might not want to be rushing to invest in ads, especially if you don't have a strategy behind it, because you don't want to be throwing money at the wall or, right into the garbage can. There are definitely ways to lose a lot of money on ads very quickly if you don't know what you're talking about. Promotion also incorporates the power of storytelling and how you really position and share your product listings with the captions and the branding of your shop. What have you pulled all together to make your story compelling, your product unique, the whole overall way you tell about yourself and why you're doing this that makes a potential shopper know your shop, remember your shop, share your shop, and come back to your shop. A quick action step here, something you can consider: commit to one consistent promotional strategy for the next month. This is something that I am also not great at because it does link up to social media. And when I think social media, I am guilty of wanting to sit down and just batch create for 3 or 4 platforms at a time if I'm going to do it at all. But it is better to be consistent on one single platform than to throw everything onto the board for 2 weeks in 4 different places and never come back to it. So figure out what that one consistent strategy you will work on in terms of promotion and being in front of the right people. This might not be marketing yet. If your shop is brand new or you haven't even fully launched yet, maybe this is just establishing what your story is. Work on your storytelling by getting a worksheet and sitting down and establishing, what is my backstory? What are the pain points that led me to create this company? What is the branding about? Do I have branding? What target audience do I want to even be in front of if you haven't established that yet? So figure out either the front end of that, or if you're already there, figure out whether you're going to work on a single free marketing method for the month, or maybe you are ready to invest in a single paid advertising method. Another option might be just to take an online course or to start delving into learning Facebook ads. But just take that one step forward, just for 1 month, to focus on one marketing strategy that meets you where you're at right now. So there you have it, the 4 P's of marketing and how they apply to your Etsy or e-commerce business: product, price, place, and promotion. That's the foundation of every successful business, and when you take the time to get them right, everything starts to feel a little less overwhelming. If you take just one thing from this episode, let it be this: your success isn't just about having a great product. It's about how you position, price, and promote it. Small tweaks in any of these areas can make a huge impact on your sales and overall growth. So for next steps, I want to challenge you. Pick one P to focus on improving this week. Maybe it's refining your price strategy, optimizing your Etsy SEO, or finally setting up the email list. I think that might be mine. But whatever it is, take action on it today. And if you want more support, I've got something for you. Grab my free Building Your Etsy Empire ebook in the show notes below. If you are interested in a little bit more one-on-one coaching, or you want a personal shop audit, or you still are struggling with Etsy SEO and you'd like to book some time with me to chat one-on-one personally to coach you through exactly what the strategy should look like for your next 30, 60, 90 days in your Etsy shop, then feel free to send me a DM or send me an email. My contact will be again in the show notes below, and I'd be happy to talk to you about how I can help you fine-tune your strategy so that you can start seeing real results and get to that next level. That's it for today. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe. Please leave a review, and please feel free to share it with a fellow Etsy seller. As always, you can say hi to me on social or on email. Let me know you're out there. Let me know what else you'd like to hear next. And until next time, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you in a week. Goodbye.